Thank you.
Rozalla, thank you so much for joining me today.
Absolute pleasure, darling.
So I just want to make sure I pronounce your name correctly. It is pronounced Rozalla?
Yeah, Rozalla.
Rozalla?
That's fine.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah, that's fine.
So you're coming to us from London, correct?
I am indeed, Naomi. Yeah. And you're in Canada, which city?
Edmonton.
Edmonton. Okay.
All the
Okay.
way on the west side of the country.
So how far is that from what's the city I'm thinking of in Canada? What's the main city called?
Toronto.
Toronto. That's right.
Toronto is very far. It's about a 4-hour flight.
Oh, that's far.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
that is far. Okay, I thought you were going to say like, oh, it's a 2-hour drive or something.
it's actually about a 3 or 4 day drive.
What?
Yeah, depending if you like stay somewhere overnight, but it's about 3 or 4 hours. Yeah.
Oh,
Or 3 or 4 days. I'm sorry.
Oh my, oh wow.
It's
Canada's big then.
It's massive. This country is so big.
Oh, and Quebec, that's also in Canada, right?
That's right.
Oh, see, I know a bit of country there.
That's where most of our population is on we're around Toronto and Quebec on the east side of the country. Closer to you.
Yeah. And French speaking?
On the east side mostly, yes. We are like a bilingual country. Yeah. We have all of our information and posted in French and English, but yeah. Out where I live in the western part of the country, there's not as many French speaking people.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow, my gosh. Well, anyway, it's lovely to see you. I thought for a moment this wasn't going to happen, so I'm like, I'm feeling hungry. I want dinner.
Oh no. I was just having a nap, and then I set my alarm for half an hour before, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yes, so I thought, and then Alan's like, no, rather do a Zoom video so we can see each other, which is much better.
Are you okay? Do you prefer if I post the video or don't post the video? That's up to you.
What do you want?
I'll always say yes to the video if you want.
Okay, that's fine. Let's do it then.
All right.
I don't mind.
All right.
It'll help things.
So we'll go back and do some reminiscing.
Yeah, let's do it.
So back when Everybody's Free came out, it was #1 on the US Hot Dance Club Play chart. BuzzFeed listed the song at number 47 in their list of the 101 greatest dance songs of the 90s.
Wow.
Is there a different sense of achievement when you get the success and the hit in America as opposed to home?
Absolutely, because it's a foreign country. You know, I don't live there, and to think that my song is being heard and listened to from across the seas is quite incredible.
How did it come? How did it all come about?
Well, going back a few years, I was born in Zambia and grew up in Zimbabwe, and I've always wanted to be a singer all my life. And then, you know, I became this, what you would call a little starlet in Zimbabwe. And I thought, you know, I went as far as I could go in Zimbabwe, and I thought, I want to be a big international act. And the only way that's going to happen is if I move to England or America. Mm-hmm. And Naomi, I'm the kind of person, you know, as time has gone by, what you believe and what you feel, life helps to conspire, get you there or get you near there. And it's so true, you know. And anyway, so I thought I want to go to England or America, and then fast forward, I ended up coming to England, recording some stuff, sending them around to record labels to try and get a deal. And one of those cassettes, it was cassettes in that time, mm-hmm. fell on the laps of two amazing guys, Tim and Nigel, who were known as the Band of Gypsies. And they loved my voice and wanted to meet me. We had a meeting. They said, you know, what do you want to do? We love your voice. We've got lots of tracks and stuff for you. I said, look, I want to do tracks that are lyrically positive. So if you listen to the whole album of Everybody's Free, practically all the tracks on there are got positive lyrics. That's and great. tracks that'll, when somebody puts on my songs, I want them to feel they can get up and dance, or even sit in their chair and move around and stuff like that. Like, yeah, no problem. And that's how one of the songs came about, and that Everybody's Free album, of course, one of them being called Everybody's Free to Feel Good.
That's amazing. Oh,
Yeah.
good. So the song has also been kept alive all through the years. There's been different remakes and remixes. Do you have a certain one that you're fond of? Like, you've re-recorded it also, haven't you?
I have. I think I had the opportunity of re-recording it 2 or 3 times, I think. And I've had so many other opportunities to re-record it again. And honestly, Naomi, I'm at that point whereby it's not going to happen, because I've been there, I've done that, and I'm tired. No, and no. And, and you know, I've got other new material that I'm working on. I've got new stuff coming out. I've got a new single coming out on the 4th of May called Magnificent. But anyway, so I've got this other life happening as well. So it's exciting for me to add my new songs to my old repertoire, you know, and keep things going. And as you say, Everybody's Free and Are You Ready to Fly and Faith in the Power of Love, which, you know, were my biggest hit singles to date, particularly Everybody's Free, has been kept alive, as you said earlier, because of the constant remixes being done. You know, quite a few contestants have done it on shows, you know, The Voice or the X Factor or stuff like that.
Yeah.
And in fact, I think of one lovely lady. I'm sorry, I forget her name, but I think it was called The Voice in Australia. And she sung Everybody's Free, but not in my style. It was sort of mid-tempo. Natasha Stewart was her name, actually. And she was looked after by a friend of mine, which I didn't know, and he managed her. And we got in touch last year via Facebook, Instagram, and I messaged her and I saw the video and I thought, wow, you are incredible, you know. And she was so shocked. She's like, I've been a fan of yours since I was a child, you know, since I was so young. And she took pictures and started sending me all my record collection that she was keeping, which was so flattering. And I don't know if she won it or whatever, but sadly, she passed away because I didn't know that she had cancer. But, you know, things like that really touched me. And she was, you know, one of those angels that has kept Everybody's Free alive and has kept the profile raised. So rest in peace, Natasha.
Rest in peace, Natasha. If I can find this video of her performing it on YouTube, I can share it with our listeners.
Please do. It's beautiful. It really is beautiful.
I would love to. We have a question from one of our listeners, Michelle. She wanted to ask about how were you approached to include the song in the soundtrack to Romeo and Juliet, because there's a choral version featuring a 12-year-old singer, Quentin Tarver, performing it. That's way back. Well, that movie's probably about 20 years old now, isn't it?
Yeah, long time ago. Actually, because the song was written for me, and obviously I sung the song and put my own melody and ideas. Tim and Nigel were the songwriters. And when stuff like that happens, they normally go via Tim and Nigel or go to the publishers, which are Peer Music, and they ask for permission, and then they ask Tim and Nigel and myself, do you mind if we send this out, or somebody wants to do this? And that's how that sort of thing kind of happens. And if the three of us think it's good, and it will keep the profile of the song raised, and so we all go, yeah, do it. So that's how that came about, and that's how most of the other stuff comes about when anybody wants to use Everybody's Free in an advert or a movie or stuff like that. So they get permission from us three and the publishers.
I absolutely love that phrase, to keep the profile raised. It's so good.
It does keep the profile raised, and it has, you know, it really has.
That's a beautiful version of the song as well. Yeah.
Yes, it is. Absolutely. It absolutely is.
Now, right at the beginning, we were talking about you were born in Zambia, and then your father is Zimbabwean. And so as a young child, you moved to Zimbabwe?
Yes.
And your mother?
My mom's Zambian.
Zambian?
Yeah, so she was Zambian born, and my father's Zimbabwean born. So I obviously spent quite a few of my formative years in Zambia. And then we moved to Zimbabwe, my dad's country. and I spent a lot of my other formative years there. And then that's when I, at some point decided I want to move to England or America, and England opens its doors to me. And I started traveling to England specifically just to do music and to become a big star. When you're young, you have all these dreams, and I didn't know what was in store. And, life, God, the forces just helped me get there. And I was hungry for it. And my agent said to me recently, what do you mean you were hungry for it? You're still hungry for it.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can't let that go away for sure.
No, exactly. So I tease some of my fans and my agent and going like, Everybody's Free is, I think it's 29 years old this year,
Yeah.
and it's unbelievable. So I'm going, well, yeah, that's great, but then I'm getting older, so I better start looking at, what I can do to keep things lifted up.
Oh, you're looking wonderful.
Thank you. So are you. Thank you.
I know, it's like I'm starting to notice things are falling a little bit in here.
Tell me about it. I'm noticing things, and there's all these treatments out there, and I'm going, which one do I go for? Because it can be a bit scary and all, but I've always been one that's taking care of my skin and my regimen, and in this lockdown, sorry to steer away from the music industry, but in this lockdown, there's been this every Monday there's this face gym. I don't know if you've heard of face gym, where
No.
they oh my God, you have to follow them. They help you tone and lift your face with your hands.
Oh.
Honestly, they call it lift and sculpt. So there's been some sessions they've been doing every Monday where they lift and tone your jawline, it's been incredible. And then today they were meant to have one to lift and tone the forehead and eyes. And I'm going, I could hopefully stay young for a very long time.
Like I said, I'm noticing this on me, how this is coming. So I'm going to try that.
Honestly, just check out Face Gym, and it's been incredible. Just follow them on Instagram, and they've been really good, really good.
I'm learning so much good advice today.
You see. I'm going to send you the bill, Naomi.
Okay. So, what are your favorite things to share about your culture and your country? And like for tourists, what would you recommend somebody to come who came and visit your home country?
Zambia and Zimbabwe, for one, the weather is always amazing, really. I think around the months of October, it can get quite hot, so try to avoid that month. But it's beautiful weather year in, year out. And we love that when it's summer here in the UK, because this is known to be a cold country. When it's summer here, it's winter in Zimbabwe, but their winter is like the summer in the UK. So you still have some lovely days, and of course, going to the safaris are just unbelievable. Unbelievable. When my husband and I first started dating, we went to Zimbabwe and we went to some safari in Victoria Falls. And to be near a giraffe, or lions that are quite far away is quite mind-blowing. It is just something to do before you die.
I can't. I that would be a dream come true.
Honestly, it's beautiful. Really, really wonderful. So that's what I can say about both those countries. They certainly have the weather and the safaris, and it's wonderful. And of course, the people are very kind, very welcoming, and they're definitely countries to go and visit.
Oh, nice. On the bucket list.
Yeah, on the bucket list. I like that, on the bucket list.
Do you get to go back and visit?
Yes, my family, a lot of my relatives still live in Zambia, and my mom and my brothers and some of my other relatives also live in Zimbabwe, in Harare. So I try and go home twice a year, because home is home, and my family's there. If I don't see them for a while, I get, a little off balance, and it's just important to spend time and share time with family. So I try and aim to go home twice a year to see them.
Beautiful.
When I've seen them, they're all crazy, and they think I'm this woman with lots of money, and I'm going, oh, okay. Then when I get back, I'm in need of a different holiday because I get stressed out by them.
Holiday from the family. We've been there.
It's an absolute joy.
Have you always felt you were a natural performer live, or did you go through stage frights? Um, how did you develop yourself as a performer?
Well, I've always loved performing. As a child, I remember doing children's television programs in Zambia where we lived. So I was singing on children's television programs. And I remember there was a time my dad, who since passed away, believed in me, and he had a friend that was a manager at an intercontinental hotel in Lusaka, Zambia. And he's like, look, my daughter's 14, but, can you give her a stint performing with a band or whatever? And like, yeah, okay, we'll just give her a 2-week stint. She can perform with a band every night for 2 weeks, but we can't advertise her because she's underage.
Yeah.
And I mean, so I sung at the Hotel Intercontinental with the band every night for 2 weeks, and my dad would take me and look after me and take me home. And so it's been in me for that long. I love performing, Naomi, and one of the things I'm missing so much during this lockdown is, performing on stage and seeing my fans and seeing them raise their hands in the air and make me feel like a god.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible, and I love performing. I really love performing. I love, hopefully making the fans feel happy and joyous, and I really do miss that a great deal.
What's one of the most memorable concert experiences that you had?
Oh my gosh! Well, I'm not dropping names, but I was a support act for Michael Jackson.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, that was coming up in my questions.
Well, fast forward, but anyway, so yes, I supported him for about 3.5 months on his last tour, sadly, which was the Dangerous Tour in 1992.
Yeah.
And honestly, Naomi, that was the highlight of my career. In fact, I don't know if you can see there's me and Michael up there.
I saw that picture online.
Yeah.
And then so I wrote down that question. I said, I wonder what the story is behind this photo. This is just unreal.
Well, now you know that's me and MJ up there in the middle picture. And it was an incredible experience, absolutely incredible experience. And I remained friends with Slider Garrett, who I love dearly. She co-wrote Man in the Mirror, or wrote it, forgive me if I'm wrong. And she did a duet with him called I Just Can't Stop Loving You.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we've remained friends, and she's just been a wonderful person, and that tour was surreal. And every now and again when Slider and I speak, we just think, wow, and he's not with us anymore, and life. Yeah.
It seems surreal.
One of the greatest artists I've ever watched in my life was him. That's for sure.
How much time did you get the chance to learn from him while you were on tour? Did he spend much time with people, or was he pretty much by himself a lot? Or
well, he I mean, one, you had the biggest star in the world, and he was security was heavy around him. I got to meet him, I think 2 or 3 times on the tour, where he asked to meet me because he personally chose me to be his support act, which was amazing.
yeah.
And we took pictures, and that's that picture there that we took. And he thanked me for agreeing to be on his tour, and I'm going, excuse me? You thanking me, I'm thanking you. And he was really nice, really down to earth, just a really nice, personable person. And then, of course, I met him again just to say bye, which was, I believe, in Portugal, to say bye and thank you so much. And I remember asking him to give me a kiss on my lips, to say thank you. And he's like, okay. Then he kissed me on my lips, and he had his security guards there. And I'm like, Michael, no, you have to kiss me again. He's like, oh, okay. And he kissed me again. And then he just got so shy. He got so shy, and he's like, he looked at his security guards and he went, you put her up to this, you guys put her up to this. And he started laughing, and he sprinted into his dressing room.
Oh.
Honestly, and that was the last time I saw him. And honestly, Naomi, when I finished my set, I was on stage for about 45, 50 minutes doing my set. And then Michael would normally come on literally 30 minutes later, and so sometimes if we weren't going onto the tour bus, because this gig was show after show after show, and I believe he had about 2 or 3 stages which were moving to different cities when the one show has been held in whatever city it might be.
Mm.
And when I had the opportunity and we had a hotel in that city, I'd normally go into the mixing booth where, if you can think about it, when you see stadiums and there's a mixing booth right in the middle of the crowd, I would sometimes go in there and watch him from there. Or I'd go in between the barrier where the fans are and then the barrier where people could walk, just VIP, and then the stage.
Mm.
And I would watch him from there. And I remember the one time I watched him with a friend of mine in the barrier and looking at him. And he sent word to say, please tell Rozalla not to stand in the barrier because I'm losing my concentration. So I didn't do that anymore. So I went into the middle of waiting with the sound engineers. But watching him was like magic unfolding before your very eyes. And I did 43 dates with him, and every date that I had the opportunity to watch him was magical. Absolutely magical.
What a blessing that you got to experience that.
Absolutely, absolutely.
I'm just so excited for you.
Yeah, a real blessing. Yeah, yeah.
Now you've been described as the Queen of Rave, right?
Yeah.
What is rave mean? Is rave a type of party? Is it a type of music or feeling? What is rave?
Well, at the time when Everybody's Free came out, they had different styles of music, which the journalists, I guess, or producers or whatever, classed it as rave. And then Everybody's Free got mixed up in all that. And a lot of people said, because a lot of the rave tunes that were coming out were mostly one-liners. They were repeats. And so a lot of journalists and music critics said Everybody's Free and all my other tracks were classed as rave, but they were real songs because they had verses and choruses and a singer singing it all the way through, and a singer that had a one-name title. And so I was mixed up with all that rave thing, and then there was a rave scenes that were happening, and I was performing at them. And I remember going to perform in rave scenes that were warehouses that were set up in the middle of nowhere, and there'd be anywhere between 5,000 to 10,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the response that I got at the time, you know, was incredible. And then I woke up one morning to read a newspaper, and I was being hailed as the Queen of Rave.
And there it is.
I thought, I'll take that, thank you.
Yeah, great title.
Yeah, and that has stuck, so there you go.
So besides, of course, Michael Jackson being an obvious answer to this question, but who else did you get to meet in the music business that taught you the most, or you were most excited to meet?
Oh, there were so many artists. I mean, you know, I am a big admirer of musicians. You know, even if I don't like their music, I admire them because I know as a singer and as an artist myself what a tough industry this is. You know, so honestly, I am rooting for all those artists, particularly the ones that are up and coming, because it is a tough industry, you know. And even myself right now, Naomi, I've got a new album coming out, I've got a new single coming out. Sometimes I still think I'm not there yet. I'm still chasing my dream, you know. There's still things I want to achieve. So I look at other artists and I think, you know, you go. And I watch them, and I'm sure every artist will tell you this. When I watch other artists performing, you watch them to see how they carry themselves on stage, how they will hit a note, you know, how they speak to the audience, and we all steal ideas from one another. I certainly do anyway, you know, and and that's how I feel.
There's always something new to learn from each person.
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely.
And you'll always be learning as long as you're in this
business. You'll always be learning, absolutely. You know, my grandma used to say, you know, a 3 or 4 year old could teach you something. You know, and I think because they're that young and you're that old, you know everything. No.
How do you feel about the music business now compared to then? Obviously, the major record labels don't have as much power as they used to, and with the internet and everything. if you were trying to make your career now, do you think it would be difficult or about the same? How would you feel about it?
When I first started out, I found it so difficult. I found it so difficult. And fast forward to now, I think it is still difficult, but you have the freedom that we have now with the internet, with putting out your own material, and there's been some singers who have made it on their own that way and then have gotten recognized by a label that has been willing to support them and stuff like that. So I guess that maybe in some ways it's become easier in that regard. You have freedom to sell yourself in how you want to, but somewhere you always need someone to help you out with the money, with the promotions, with stuff like that. So you still need both in some ways.
It's true. That is a catch right there.
Yeah.
What album track do you wish would have been a single from your album? Because I'm going to play it on the show.
Oh my gosh. Oh, can I choose an old one?
Yes, anyone you want.
It doesn't have to be a new one or a recent one.
I'll play whatever you'd like me to play. I'll play one of your new. Well, we'll definitely play your new song that you were just released, right?
Oh, thank you, magnificent. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Well, thank you. Well, I did an album for Sony. The title was "Look No Further," and the title actually was written by one of, in my opinion, the greatest songwriters, called Diane Warren.
Yes, she is.
This woman's catalog of songs that she's written for rock artists to Celine Dion.
Yeah.
And I have been so honored that she wrote Look No Further for me, and I got to meet her, and obviously I recorded the track in her studio. And it's a ballad, and I just feel people don't really know that side of me and just see me probably as this artist that only does dance music. And I believe, I've got different facets to my vocal capabilities. So, I love doing ballads, I love doing mid-tempo.
Yeah.
And of course, dance music will always be my favorite. So we did this Look No Further that Diane Warren wrote for me. And that was a ballad, and it's one of my favorite all time of one of my songs. So, yeah, I wish that one was a single.
All right, it's coming. We're going to play it right now for you. On the show when I do the editing, of course.
I'm like, where is it then? I can't hear it.
You're gonna have to listen now. Just like that.
Fantastic.
In 2015, you returned to the top 10 of the Billboard Club Dance Charts for the first time since 1994 with your track "If You Say It Again."
Wow.
Isn't that correct? I'm reading.
Oh my gosh.
And then the single "Shadows of the Moon" too, right? So
that's right.
So yeah, what developed out of that? Did you do lots of touring at that time? How did you go about promoting the songs?
Well, during that period before I got to doing those tracks, Naomi, like I said earlier, this music industry is a tough one, and I went through some highs and some lows. Fortunately, not some very lows, but there was a time before I did If You Say It Again and Shadows of the Moon. I was still out there working, but I was lucky if I got to do one club date in a period of 2 months. Things just slowed down. But, I still kept on doing whatever I could and never giving up. And in fact, in the middle of all that, I thought, if this is going to end, what can I do? Because I can't not work. The bills don't stop coming in. And I took up a beauty therapy course, and I'm a qualified beauty therapist.
Wonderful.
But I was still going into the studio because there were still people that believed in me. And like I say, I feel very passionate about what I do. I'm a singer. And then I got sent this track by Charlie Mason, who actually wrote my next single coming out on the 4th of May, Magnificent. He got in touch with me via Facebook and is like, look, I love your voice. I'm a songwriter. What do you think of this track? And I listened to If You Say It Again. And the thing is, Naomi, when I'm sent tracks, I try to have a very open mind into what they can sound like, because sometimes they can sound not very nice, not really up your street, but I pick out something where I think the song could be good. And I thought If You Say It Again could be good, and Love to Infinity did a mix for If You Say It Again, which is the mix that did well in the Billboard, what was it, dance charts.
That's right.
Yeah, and Frank Sorello actually made that happen because he got them to mix it, and various other mixers and producers. And Frank made that happen. And I used to work with Frank in New York when he was signed to Sony. So we hadn't been in touch for so many years. And he heard this track, is like, got in touch with me, like, my darling, I can do something for you. Let's do this. I believe in this track. I'm like, really? And, you know, I gave it to Frank, and Frank got so many hundreds and thousands of people to mix it, which they did at no cost, because no one can afford mixes anymore.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, I'm so grateful to that, and grateful to Frank. And lo and behold, it went to number 5, which was, Frank and I we were so shocked. And then we released Shadows of the Moon, and that did well in the UK, in the, I forget what the charts are called here, Music Week. And that did well. And then, of course, Energize Recordings got in contact with me, and they're like, look, you still got a career in the recording industry, and we'd love to work with you. And they're just a small label, you know, Gary and Dave, who I just love dearly. And I'm like, yeah, why not? So I started recording an album with them last year, and the first single we released from that was Turn on the Light, which we released sometime early last year. And then we were hoping to have the album out sometime late last year. But Turn on the Light kept on growing legs, you know, and Gary Simmons, the boss of Energize, said, look, let's not release anything just yet, because this song is growing legs. Let's just see where it goes to. And I had this wonderful guy, Jonathan Dahl, who is, he plugs my stuff and everything. And in fact, he started plugging my stuff as a fan. And now he's on board with us and works with us. And he just was sending out stuff to radio stations, trying to get it playlisted. He ended up getting about anywhere between 500 to 700 independent radio stations that have playlisted it. And Turn on the Light just had legs, and we just left it to run and run. So that was nearly a year. So we are about to release the second single from that album, which is called Magnificent. So yeah, so that's how that's all happened.
Well, I'm really excited that things are still rolling. You know, it's a beautiful thing. I'm happy.
No, thank you so much. And I'm so grateful. Like I say, you know, I always think, you know, what a tough industry. And, you know, I'm so grateful to the fans that believe in me. They send me such incredible worded messages. You wanting to do this podcast is, again, a green tick that somebody still wants me.
Absolutely.
And it's that keeps me going, and I'm so grateful for that. I really am.
Looking back on your career, is there any choice you would have made differently?
I guess not. No, I suppose not, because I'm a believer in, you know, what happens.
Yeah.
And that's it. What happens. So I can't add or say anything more to that. Yeah.
That's true. We don't really know what's going to come in our future while it's happening. So
we just hope for the best, and what will be will be. You know? Yeah.
Is there any like clothing item or toy, food item, something that makes you nostalgic for the 90s?
Oh my goodness. Oh, now you're asking me, and I don't have the answer now, but when we say bye, I probably will.
You know, that's one of those questions I should always throw ahead of time, because I find it puts people on the spot, and then they're like, oh yeah.
I know, like, I just cannot think. I mean, oh my goodness, I can't think. I'm sorry, I can't think.
That's okay. That's okay.
Sorry.
If you think of something later, you can always like send me a message.
Yeah, it will come to me. Yeah.
Do you have any specific causes or charities that you are supporting?
Well, whatever, you know, I support doctors, what are they called? MSF, Frontiers. Doctors Without Borders.
Yes.
They're doctors that are helping everywhere. And there's another one, I can't remember for the life of me the name, to help eradicate poverty and feed children and stuff like that. So I try and do something when I can. And honestly, Naomi, there's so many charities. If I won the lottery, my husband said I'll have no money left because I'd give it all away. So many charities, so many charities.
Yeah, I just like to get it out there so people know what causes are important to.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, I just thought it's Medicine Sans Frontiers. That's one of the ones I support. Yeah, yeah. They go worldwide, and they're mostly in war zones, helping people that wouldn't otherwise survive. Yeah.
Well, thank you for that. I want to tell people again, I'm going to play the newest song for everybody here at the end of our interview.
Thank you.
Current projects, anything else that you wanted to tell the people that before we end things?
Yes, please. Well, I just want to say I've got an album coming out this year, and I think we managed to record 11 tracks. I had one more track left to record before the lockdown. So I don't know how that's going to happen and when that's going to happen. But, I'm glad to say we've got the second single lined up to be released on the 4th of May, Magnificent. So, look out for that. And I just want to thank you with all my heart for your support. And Naomi, thank you so much. It's so amazing. I'm speaking to you from across the seas in Canada. I can't believe it. It's like
Isn't
your
it
next door.
amazing?
It's like I'm going to open the door and you're going to be there.
Technology has gotten us through this pandemic too. Like
wow.
it's
Honestly,
really helped.
Gratitude. Yeah, and honestly, I just want to say a big thank you.
Thank you. You're lovely. You're beautiful. Thank you for giving me advice on how to take care of my beauties.
Just lift. And you're beautiful too. And Naomi, thank you so much.
Thank you. And Rozalla, we will see you soon. I will send you a message when we publish the episode so that you'll know it'll be on our social media.
I'd love to share it as well. And you got my email now, and we're in touch, and we're best friends forever.
Oh yeah, I love you. It's been a blast.
You too. Thank you, Naomi. That was amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, take care. And
look after yourself. All right.
All right. Thank you.
All right, my darling. Take care. God bless. Bye.
Bye.